So you're thinking about moving to Michigan, fresh lakes, four seasons, and affordable housing. Sounds like a dream, but there's just one problem. You've got a home to sell in another state. Now your peaceful relocation fantasy is starting to feel more like a circus act. You're picturing yourself juggling two mortgages, multiple agents, mountains of paperwork, and maybe even launching a cross-country U-Haul convoy. Sound familiar? If so, take a breath and stick with me, because what you're about to watch is the ultimate survival guide for buying a home in Michigan while simultaneously selling one out of state. It's packed with practical steps, pro tips, backup plans, and just enough humor to keep you sane along the way. Let's get to it. First things first. This can be done. I've helped clients navigate this exact scenario, and while every situation is just a little different, there's a system that works. The most important thing to remember is that timing is everything. Seriously, forget location for a second. When you're selling one house and buying another, syncing the timing can make or break your sanity. Let's break it down. Start by evaluating your current home situation. Is your home already on the market? Is it under contract? Or are you still wondering what it could sell for? If you're in the early stages, the smartest move is to contact a solid real estate agent in your current state, someone who knows the market, can price your home right, and understands the pressure of timing a cross-state sale. If you don't have that person yet, don't sweat it. I've got contacts all over the country and globe, so I can help you get paired with someone who actually knows what they're doing. Now let's talk buying. Most people can't buy a new house in Michigan until they sell their current one. That's called a contingency. It means your ability to buy is dependent on your ability to sell. Not every seller in Michigan will accept a contingent offer. That's the reality, especially in competitive areas, but it's not impossible either. It all comes down to how far along you are in the selling process. If your current home is already under contract with contingencies clear, your offer is a lot stronger. In some cases, people opt for a bridge loan or a home equity line of credit, or HELOC as we call it, so they can buy in Michigan before selling their current home. It's not for everyone, but if you've got equity and solid finances, it's an option worth exploring, especially if the market you're selling in is slower and the one you're buying in is heating up. Now let's talk about financing logistics. One of the biggest questions people ask is, can I qualify for a new mortgage while still carrying one on my current home? The answer is maybe. It all depends on your debt to income ratio. Most lenders like to see a DTI, debt to income, under 43%, although the exact number varies by loan program and lender. If your current mortgage plus the projected payment on the new Michigan home keeps you under that threshold, you're looking pretty good and you're probably fine. If not, your lender might suggest waiting to sell before buying or going with a contingent offer. Pro tip though, get pre-approved with a Michigan lender who actually understands your timelines and goals too, and I have contacts that I can send you. And as I'm looking at you, I can sense another fear. What if my home doesn't sell in time? This is where backup plans are your very best friend. If you've listed your home and haven't gotten any bites, you may need to consider a price reduction, incentives, or even temporarily renting it out if you're financially able to do so. If your Michigan home purchase is contingent on selling, and that sale falls apart, we can usually extend the closing date or back out depending on the agreement's contingency clauses. Worst case scenario, you may need to line up a short-term rental in Michigan while you relist or rework your original sale. I've seen it happen. It's not ideal, I understand, but it's not the end of the world either. Okay, here's something most people don't think about until it's way too late. What do you do with all your stuff between homes? If your two closings don't line up perfectly, and let's be real, sometimes they don't. Portable storage options like Pods or Pack Rat are amazing. They'll deliver a container, let you pack it on your timeline, and then deliver it to your new address once you're ready for it. Alternatively, full-service moving companies often offer storage in transit if there's a gap between closings. Or if your new Michigan home allows early possession, we can sometimes negotiate storing your belongings in the garage pre-closing with a formal agreement in place, which is something I've done before too. Before closing, don't forget to shop around for homeowners insurance. Your lender will require it before issuing your mortgage, and waiting until the very last minute can cause unnecessary stress. It's also a great opportunity to bundle your auto and home insurance to save a few bucks, especially if you're switching providers during the move. And if you're staying in Temporary housing between homes. Consider short-term renter's insurance to protect your belongings during that in-between phase. And here's something many people forget until the last second: forwarding your mail. Head over to USPS and file a change of address form at least a week before your move, then start making your address change hit list. Banks, credit cards, employer, subscriptions, doctors, and yes, even your go-to pizza place if they're still mailing coupons. If you plan on becoming a Michigan resident, remember that you'll need to update your driver's license and register your vehicle within 30 days of moving. Michigan Secretary of State offices can book out weeks in advance, so schedule your appointment early if you want to avoid a wait. Pro tip, some locations let you check in online or even use a kiosk. Also, to help you stay sane during the move, I highly recommend using digital organization tools. You can set up a shared Google Sheet for tracking tasks like utility setup, document delivery, and the key dates. If spreadsheets aren't your thing, check out apps like Trello, Notion, or Google to keep your creating checklists and progress boards. For extra support though, I've even created a relocation checklist you can download and start using immediately to organize the entire relocation process from A to Z. That's linked in the description for you. A huge stressor in this situation is needing to be in two places at one time. And although you want to cut yourself in half and do that, that's not going to work. The question I hear constantly is, do I need to fly back and forth for both closings or this or that? The good news is, probably not. In most states, you can do remote closings or use a mobile notary. Michigan is very friendly to out-of-state buyers. You can typically sign everything digitally or overnight paperwork if required. You might need to be available by phone or email that day or within a certain time slot, but you won't have to hop on a plane. Just let your agent and title company know your travel situation early so everyone can plan accordingly. Another major decision: should you sell first or buy first? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but here's a quick way to think about it. Selling first gives you cash in hand and a clear picture of your budget. You avoid double mortgages and reduce financial stress. But it might mean renting temporarily or living in a short-term Airbnb while you house hunt, and that can be stressful too. Buying first gives you control. You can wait for the right home without the pressure of being homeless, but it may require a bridge loan, more aggressive offer strategy, or temporary double payments. I help clients weigh these pros and cons every single day, and it really comes down to your timeline, risk tolerance, and market conditions in both your current and future zip codes. Speaking of risk, coordinating two agents in two different places can feel like herding cats. You might wonder, do I need to manage them both? The answer is no. A good agent will coordinate with your listing agent and create a timeline that actually makes sense. You don't need to play go-between. We'll keep each other in the loop for showings, offers, contract timelines, and ideal move-in dates. And if you're still searching for a solid listing agent in your current state, I can help and tap into my nationwide network to connect you with someone who's not just going to stick a sign in your yard and ghost you. So what's the actual process of buying a home in Michigan look like? Buckle up, because here's a quick and dirty version. Once you got financing lined up or your home sale under contract, you start house hunting. And when I say hunting, I mean really narrowing it down, because house hunting from out of state can get overwhelming extremely fast. I usually do virtual tours, Zoom walkthroughs, custom video updates, whatever it takes to get your eyes on the ground until you can get there in person, because these cameras these days are amazing with their lenses and they can really just put lipstick on a pig of a house. You find a house you love, we make an offer. In Michigan, most offers include an earnest money deposit, usually 1 to 3% of the home's price, to show you're serious about purchasing. Once the offer accepted, the due diligence period kicks in. That means inspections, including well, septic, and sometimes radon, which is typically 7 to 10 days in length, followed by the appraisal, and then your lender kicks into full gear. Michigan's closing process is handled through title companies, not attorneys, but you have the right to get one if you so choose. You'll sign a mountain of paperwork, most of which can be done remotely, and we'll make sure keys and occupancy are lined up based on your timeline. If you need temporary occupancy in your new Michigan home, we can negotiate that. If you need post-closing possession agreement on your current home, that can be arranged too. So you're not couch surfing in between moves. Now here's where things get a little bit more real: the overlap. Coordinating 2 closings in 2 states is like a game of 3D chess, but it's doable with very clear communication. Ideally, you close on your old home in the morning and your new home that afternoon or the next day. That's the unicorn scenario. More realistically, you'll close on one and we'll make arrangements to cover any gaps with occupancy agreements or short-term rentals if needed. That's the kind of stuff I help orchestrate all the time. Once you know the closing date for your home in Michigan, it's time to get those utilities scheduled. Most listing agents will know the information to provide to your buyer's agent, but if they don't, utilize the service map for utilities in Michigan. It changes depending where you're located. More times than not, here in Metro Detroit, it's Consumers Energy and DTE Energy, and I will have some links in the description to help you with all of this. Next, with utilities, depending on if your home is on a sewer, septic, well, or city water, depending on where you buy your home at, the listing agent will schedule a final water read if it's city water up to the date of closing or possession to let the Public Works Department know how much to charge the seller for their water usage. Other times, there is no final water read at all, and the buyer would simply wait until they receive their first water sewer bill. Sometimes it's combined together as a charge, and they would provide that to their agent to give to the title company. At closing, the title company holds back some funds from the sellers to pay off their usage of the bill, then release the rest to the seller if it's less than that $300 or so that they hold back. So that's why it's very important to provide the first bill to your agent as a buyer of a house. If you were on a well and septic, this step can be skipped because you don't have to set up services or payments through the city. It's simply your responsibility to maintain your systems. What about trash though? That's a situational question depending on where you live. If it's in an HOA, then most time it's part of the fee or your taxes and a trash can is already sitting there ready for you to use and there's nothing else to do. Other times, cities have contracts with trash companies and you will just need to go to the city website, find their trash pickup tab, and make an account. More times than not, people wait for the first bill to come in the mail, then set an account based on the information provided on the bill. In areas that don't have a contract or aren't part of an HOA, you would simply find a trash provider that services your area. The listing agent and seller should know this, and you would just shop around and find a provider. And don't forget, some rural areas don't have curbside pickup for trash at all, and instead rely on township drop-off stations or private haul-away services. So it's worth asking in advance. What most people don't plan for, but absolutely should, is the paperwork on both sides. At closing, you'll receive a Principal Residence Exemption, PRE form, and Property Transfer Affidavit. They will most likely stick these forms on the top of your closing package when all is said and done. You want to bring these forms to the local assessor's office to have them stamp and record these, and they will make copies and give them to you as well, so you have proof they have been recorded. These forms tell the township/city that you are claiming this home as your primary residence and will exempt you from paying higher taxes. If this isn't done with the property transfer affidavit within 45 days after closing, you will have to pay a hefty fee that will lead to daily fees. And if you don't bring the principal residence exemption form, you will be paying more than you need to in property taxes. So I always recommend doing this right after closing to get it out of the way, or simply tell the title company to mail it out for you. But I tend to recommend that you take care of it yourself, as you'll know that it was taken care of and not just pass through a bunch of fingers that didn't do something with it. It also gets you familiar with where the township or city offices are, and they sometimes have new resources for new buyers, which never hurts for any future situation. And let's talk mental bandwidth here. You're juggling movers, utilities, schools, addresses, emotions, and probably 1,000 browser tabs, maybe some kids too. My job is to reduce that chaos, whether it's connecting you with a trusted agent in your current state, scheduling virtual showings and sending you a well-documented video, or hopping on a FaceTime call during our allotted time, coordinating closing timelines, or just being a calm real estate voice in the storm. I've got you. To sum it up, selling a home out of state while buying one in Michigan is totally doable, and I've helped too many people to count do just that. Yes, it's a juggling act. Yes, you'll want to scream into a pillow at least once, maybe 62 times, but when you've got the right people in your corner, it becomes a whole lot smoother. To make things even easier, I've created a free downloadable relocation checklist that covers everything we talked about in this guide, and probably a few things you haven't even thought of yet, from forwarding your mail to setting up utilities and remembering to change your license. This list is your moving sidekick. For those of you watching, how was it for you, if you've ever done it, to buy and sell at the same time? Drop your experiences in the comments below. So if you're looking to make the move to Michigan, feel free to start the conversation with me. I help people relocate to, within, and from the state of Michigan, and I'm happy to be your resource. Even if you're not sure where to begin, I'll help you make a game plan, find the right connections, and land you comfortably in your new mitten-shaped home. I also have a link to the Living in Michigan newsletter in the description for all things Michigan. Thanks for watching. Till next time.